Alright, welcome to the Common Flock. I attempted to record Fighter from 3 and then lost it, so we'll try this before the stream, and then I'll try to record that after the stream, but this will come out after the stream, though. I think. Yeah, because this will be coming out either Saturday night or the following day, Sunday, so go check out my stream. It should have been a call-in. Should have if stuff worked out, but let's get right into it. We have no news. Really, we kind of don't. But of the news we do have, alright, let's see. Yep, we have no news to talk about. Well, not much. But let's do another roster overlook. Because I kind of want to before I go into training camp. Alright, Eagles roster. And this is going to be an interesting overlook. I guarantee a hot take or two will find its way into this one. I'm looking at the roster. And part of the reason I'm doing this is because kind of just shifts and news and everything. But, well, let's start off at quarterback. You're running with Hurts, Flacco, Mullins. It's, from what I'm hearing and what I'm thinking, the lineup here is probably just going to be Hurts, Flacco, Mullins. I see no reason why Mullins would be your number 2. I don't think you're at a point where you want him as your number 2. I think you'd be fine with him as a number 3 for now, while you have Flacco. If it comes down to a playing situation, I think it depends on what situation you're in. If you need someone for a full game, I'd say Mullins. If you need someone to just finish the game for you before you can evaluate maybe an injury to Hurts or something, or need to finish out a quick game, just put in Flacco. He's a game manager. He's like Chad Henne. Like, I'd say just a game manager, somebody who can help you close out a game. Just kind of cruise along. If you got, like, someone you put in at the end of a game where you don't want your starter to go down and you're just trying to finish out the game, you've got a good lead. Or in case Hurts goes down and you've got a lead and you need to cruise. Or I think you could even put him in if you're down and Hurts is out. But I think if it comes down to a full game situation, I'd probably say Mullins. But it depends on what the coaching staff thinks and what the coaching staff likes and how they mold how they'd want to mold their offense. But I'm not the coaches, so I don't know. But it all depends on what situation they end up in. Running backs. Whew. Well, this will be a fun topic. Gainwell, Holyfield, Howard, Huntley, Johnson, Killings, Sanders, Scott. Now, depending on how many they keep, which is also depends on how many DBs and receivers you keep. If they keep 4, I'm thinking Sanders, Gainwell, a battle between Holyfield, Howard, Kerryon, and AK, with Huntley and whoever doesn't make it between Howard and Holyfield, and potentially even Kerryon landing on your practice squad. Or Holyfield won't hit practice squad, will drop into free agency, and then they'll pick him up if they need him. Or vice versa with Huntley. But I think they want to keep Huntley around just because he's a second-year speedback. You're telling me you wouldn't want a second-year speedback? I think he's going into his second year. If not third. If they keep 5, I think it's Sanders, Gainwell, Killings, and a battle between Huntley, Kerryon, Holyfield, and Johnson. And Scott. I forgot to mention Scott in the four man. If it's 4 men, I think they do try to stash Scott because I think they might want to keep him around and try to make him more than a giant killer. If it's a 5-man, I think it's that battle, but I think I can see landing Holyfield and Scott if you want to stay young and you want to give Scott one more chance. And I know this may, if J-Fizz, if you're watching, I know me saying Holyfield making the roster over Howard or Carry-On's not going to make you the happiest, but that's... I prefer youth. And Howard has to, before I can say for certain I'd put Howard over him, he's got to regain himself and go back to the level he was at before the Stinger. And Carry-On, he's gotten hurt a little bit. So I think he has to stay. I want to see consistency and see what I can fully get from him before I'm like, yeah, let's take this over a rookie we can develop. But, and here's the thing. Holyfield, he's going into his second year and he's only 23. Just like Killings. I'm taking the young back over a 26-year-old Howard and Carry-On, even though he's 23, he's got more wear and tear because he's been in the league 4 years. I think running backs have a short shelf life. I think I'd want to take the guy who has less wear and tear or tread on the tires, so to speak, too. I think that's also a factor. Is Carry-On's been in the league for 4 years. Yes, he's going to have more experience, but he's also going to be a little bit more beat up. Holyfield isn't. Holyfield can develop a lot more because he's only in his second year and he hasn't gotten field time. But it'll be interesting to see what way the coaching staff goes. Wide receiver. All right, now this is where my opinion differs from everybody else's. This is it. You've got J-Jaw, Jamon Osborn, Fulgham, Hightower, Rieger, Smith, Walker, Ward, Watkins. Depending on how many they keep, 6 or 7. In a 6, I'm keeping Fulgham, Rieger, Smith, Ward, Watkins, J-Jaw. Osborn, I don't even think is going to make the roster, not even close. I leave Hightower off because I think he'd be a practice squad. I think you can practice squad stash him unless he shows you a big next step. If he shows you a next step, I'd potentially take him over J-Jaw. But that all depends on if Quez can bring you something and if Ward can stay there or can take a little bit of a step too. And that leaves off also Osborn, obviously. I don't think he'll make it, not even close. And I think if you have J-Jaw, you can put him on your practice squad. But I think you may have to protect him depending on who may want him. If you keep 7, obviously it's probably going to be... Wait, did I leave Walker off too? Yeah, I did. Yes, he's a fresh guy, but he's also someone they're bringing in to potentially... I think he's someone they bring in to see what's with him. If there's something potentially we don't know, or he just isn't performing to the way they like, I think he's gone. I think he's a coin flip, toss-up. I think he's a guy whose future is in the air right now. That we won't know for certain until it happens. But if we keep 7, I'm saying it's a fight between Walker and J-Jaw. And I still don't think Osborn's going to make it anywhere near the roster. But it all depends. It all depends. This is a tough year for picking receivers in some people's eyes, and in others it's easy. So I kind of want to see where this takes us. And I'm excited for the potential future we have at receiver. Tight end. Hakeem Butler, Jason Kroom, Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert, Tyree Jackson, Richard Rodgers, Jack Stoll, Caleb Wilson. If Ertz goes, I can see it being Goedert, Rich Rod, and I'd love to bring in Joshua Perkins and just dump the rest of these guys on either practice squad or gone. Like Stoll, I'd be fine with practice squatting, or Wilson or Kroom. Hakeem, project guy, I don't necessarily think he'll stick. Same thing with Tyree. Tyree, I really don't think is going to stick with the roster or a practice squad. But if Zach Ertz stays, I can see it being Ertz, Goddard, Rodgers, with a potential fourth tight end, depending on if they've got a roster spot. If they do, um, could be a toss-up between Kroom and Wilson. If not, I think you're going to run with those three for now. But I'd love, and if you don't bring in Perkins for tight end and you run 3-man, same thing with toss up between Kroom, Wilson, Stoll. Stoll. Honestly, if I had to pick, I'm taking Wilson. Wilson, I think, is a guy that he's got less years than Kroom in the league, so I think he's slightly more developable. He's got a bit more future than Wilson does. But it all depends. It's all going to depend on what management wants to do. Tackle. Le'Raven Clark, Andre Dillard, Jack Driscoll, Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, Brett Toth, Casey Tucker. Now, on the left side, you're going to have Dillard and Mailata fighting for that one spot. I think Mailata's going to win by a country mile. And then you've got Lane Johnson starting on the other side with probably Driscoll right behind him. So that leaves you saying, where would Brett Toth, Casey Tucker, and Le'Raven Clark fit in? I think Clark's a camp body or a veteran or a mid-level vet kind of guy. He's got 6 years in the league. I think he's the guy they brought in as more of a camp body, or to see, hey, can you be a veteran installment in this backup rotation? Can you show us what you can do to help maybe take a bit of pressure off the starting guys? Toth, I think he's gone. I don't think he's done enough to stay. I don't think he should stay. I think I'd value Casey Tucker over him. And I think if we're going to run 5 tackles or 6, you're probably keeping Clark and Tucker. And if you're running 5, Tucker, I'm taking over Le'Raven. Just because. Guard. Kayode Awosika, Brandon Brooks, Nate Herbig, Sua Opeta, and Isaac Seumalo. And Pryor's a guard tackle mix. Now, Pryor, I think, is going to be one of those depth linemen, so I think he sticks around for now. I think he'll back up Seumalo. I think Opeta and Herbig, I think they either be a toss-up or both make it to back up behind Brooks and Seumalo. And I think Awosika, since he's a rookie, he was a UDFA, so it depends on where management thinks he can fit in or what coaching likes, if they like him, and what they think they can do with him. If they think they want Stout to develop him over Opeta or Herbig, or take both their spots and just run 4 guards, I'm fine with that if you've got the right guy. And we won't know if they have the right guy or even if they'll do this until they do, until the season starts. So that'll be interesting. Center. Harry Kreider, Luke Juriga, Jason Kelsey, Landon Dickerson, and lastly you've got Ross Pierschbaker, the former center from Washington, out of Bama. Surprise, surprise. But now people have said Dickerson's going to move potentially to a guard spot for now. I think I think that's a dumb idea. I think you've got to put him behind Kels for the year and kind of have him learn and develop before you let him into a starting center role if Kels goes. I don't think he should be moved to a guard spot like in Sam Allo's spot and move Sam Allo to a backup. Sam Allo's a good guard, almost. You could argue he's a great guard, depending on who you are. But I don't think I'm gonna trust a rookie over him for now, especially when you're gonna have to move him back into that spot. And he could, if you tried to keep him around longer, I don't remember how long his contract is, but if you try to keep him around longer, what if he goes, well, you put the rookie in my spot, what, does that mean I'm expendable? Does that mean you can do it again? So I think something could come from that's not going to help Philly, too, so I don't know. I just don't want to do that. I don't want to interrupt the flow Sam Allo's had so far, because he's done good at that spot. He's held down the fort there to the point where we're fine with it for now. But if they try to keep a third center, it's going to come down to who do they want between Pierce Baker, Juriga, and Kreider. And if I had to pick, I'd probably go Juriga, just because he's been with the team for the longest. I mean, yes, it's a new regime and everything, but I mean, he's also been in the league the longest, if I'm not mistaken, between all of them. Between all three of these backups, him and Ross have been in for 2 years, but honestly, I'd take Juriga. I'd have to. I just think that would be the best move there. All right, defensive end. Gennard Avery, Jaquan Bailey, Derek Barnett, Brandon Graham, Teron Jackson, Ryan Kerrigan, Matt Leo, Joe Osman, Josh Sweat. Now, people say Gennard's moving to linebacker. That I've heard a bit. So, right now I'll cover him as an edge or a defensive end, but he could be a linebacker this year. So I'll say I'm keeping that in mind, but right now he's listed at the end spot. So right now I'm gonna call him an end till it's official. And then I want to just say Osman until I really hear something concrete, which I really haven't, unless somebody can show me something concrete, which I may have missed something. I'm not saying I didn't, but I'm just saying unless someone gives me something concrete on Osman's moving to linebacker, then I'm going to call him an end, because I think it'd be best to keep him there. I think it'd be dumb to move him to linebacker. But right now with this lineup, if you keep... Alright, so the only ones who are really safe here are BG, Derek, and Sweat. Them and Kerrigan. Then you've got Teron, who I think probably will stay, and then I think they keep 5. Either 5 or 6. If they keep 5, that's it. If they keep 6, I'd say they're keeping Osman and then dumping Leo. He's an IPP or International Pathway player. I think they'd be fine stashing him on practice squad. I don't think anybody'd get him. So that's easy. Kind of seeing what it probably would be. And we already kind of know who's lining up on both sides. I really, really wish we would deal Derek right now, because not only would that open up cap, that means we get rid of the one thing we've been debating for a while, and that gets his 5th year, $10 million off the books. That'd be awesome, because I'm tired of talking about Derek Barnett and potentially giving him another lower contract. At this point, and people bring up he could be another Brandon Graham. Yeah, but he also could be another. Who's a defensive end that just faded out? It's gonna take a minute. because Philly hasn't really had that many bad defensive ends. Well, let's just say in a general perspective, he could also, and I'm not picking an edge rusher, or not an edge rusher, defensive end here, but if something kind of still applies. He could also fizzle out like, like DeMarco Murray was trying to find a situation that's similar, and I really can't think of one at this moment. But like, he could also fizzle out. We don't know. I don't wanna say, yeah, let's pay him less and keep him here just to do nothing. Like, he hasn't lived. I don't think he's lived up to his first round pick that he was. Did he do great in the Super Bowl run? Yeah, definitely. But what has he done since then? That's being a first round pick. We expect more from you. Just because he did good in the Super Bowl year doesn't give him a pass. And I think that's something that we just need to say. It's time. We gotta move on. The NFL is a "what have you done for me lately" type league. You can't do this with players, because then if they don't pan out, you're wasting your time where you could have spent it somewhere else that could have benefited you in the future. So, at this point, I think it's time to cut some, especially with a new regime. This is the best time to maybe cut a loss and move on. With guys like Barnett or with guys like Epps, who don't perform like they should and should just be gone. This is the best time to disconnect with and cut your losses. So I don't know why we shouldn't do that. But I don't want to get into a rambling. So let's finish this. Defensive tackle: Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, Willie Henry, T.Y. McGill, Hassan Ridgeway, Marlon Tipolodu, Milton Williams, Raekwon Williams. The only ones that I'd say are locked in are probably Marlon, Fletcher, Javon, being Fletcher, Javon 1, 2. Marlon probably 4 or 5 on your depth. I don't know if Milton actually Milton was our third, so I think Milton will stay 2. So that's 4, and then I think your 5th will probably be T.Y. or Hassan, and then it'll be a toss-up between them. If you keep 6, I think it'll be those 2, but it's a toss-up still, and you're going to have everybody fighting for that job. But ultimately, it'll come down to, what do you want with your depth? Who do you want as your depth? And we could lose one of the rookies, too. They could say, well, one of the rookies isn't performing great, and we think we could do better with this guy who's only a couple or 1 or 2 years older. Let's roll with him. Or 1 or 2 years in the league longer or older or something. Let's roll with this guy. But linebacker: Sean Bradley, TJ Edwards, Patrick Johnson, Alex Singleton, Rashad Smith, Jacoby Stevens, Davion Taylor, Eric Wilson. I think Eric Wilson and Alex Smith are Alex Singleton are the only ones locked. Well, them and Stevens, they're the only ones locked in at 1 or at 3 linebackers. If you keep 6, I'd honestly say Sean Bradley, TJ Edwards, and probably Davion Taylor, pushing out Patrick Johnson and Rashad Smith. Rashad, I think he's just not going to make it. And Johnson's a late round pick. We can't expect very much from him. So I think we could have enough in that linebacker room for now. Corner. Hold on, I passed by corner. Lavert Hill, Michael Jacquet, Craig James, Avonte Maddox, Zach McPherson, Josiah Scott, Kevin Seymour, Darius Slay, Shakal Taylor. Now, if you roll with 5, it's probably going to be Slay, Seymour, Scott, McPherson, Maddox. 6, I think those 5 and James. Though Seymour can potentially swap out with Jaquette, depending on what they like. I don't think Shakal, Taylor, or Levert Hill make it. I've heard a bit of Scott has been playing on the outside at 2 recently. So if that's true, I think he stays. If not, I think he's a toss-up. But that's just what I've heard. I could be wrong. My sources could be wrong. I'm not sure. So correct me on that if I'm wrong. Safety. Alright, let's get down to safety. I'm also bunching DBs with safeties because some of these guys are, or these 2 guys are kind of alright. They kind of fit the safety bill. But they could be corners. I don't know. I could be wrong. Andrew Adams, Marcus Epps, Anthony Harrison, Rodney McLeod, Elijah Riley, Kayvon Wallace. Actually, Meadows is a corner. So, let's say Meadows rolls with the corners, and that bumps out maybe, so, let me reorganize. Slay, McPherson, Maddox, James or Josiah Scott, and Graylin is 5, if not 6. Those 5 and Nate Metters, and then the other guys just go or drop to practice squad. Or if they rolled with 7, they could potentially keep Jaquette or Seymour or Taylor, but that's a toss-up in and of itself. All depending on what the management will do, who they want, and what roster will look like after cuts. So that's just my thoughts. And safety, Graylin Arnold is with the safeties that I just mentioned: Andrew Adams, Marcus Epps, Anthony Harris, Rodney McLeod, Elijah Riley, Kayvon Wallace. Now, if we're keeping 4, I'm probably just marking down Adams, Harris, McLeod, Wallace. If you're doing 5, Adams, Harris, McLeod, Wallace, Arnold O'Reilly, and the other one drops the practice squad. And you cut Marcus Epps. Just cut him already, please. And then your special teams guys you already have on the roster, they've already basically settled their spots, which these guys are Sipos, Lovato, and Elliott, your punter, long snapper, and kicker. But that was kind of a roster breakdown. There was really nothing to talk about this week. But I will also do one of these after training camp right before preseason, if I can, if I remember. But anyways, this has been the Common Flock. I will see you hopefully next week or in the week. See ya.